The first thing I have to say is that I love this episode's title. It shows a real self-awareness of the story's hokiness that the producers would have done well to remember later. And as you can probably guess from that title, we're in for another Jack flashback. He takes over an operation from his father but can't save the woman, and he makes Christian call the time of death because he's that much of a whiny bitch. Jack accuses Christian of being drunk and making a mistake that caused the woman's death, to which Christian counters that he was the one called to do the operation despite being out at lunch while Jack was in the building. That's an interesting point, and one that's never resolved. Christian writes up a report absolving himself of everything and pressures Jack to co-sign it as he'll lose his license if the hospital board finds out about his drinking. He convinces Jack that he really loves him and everything he's done was for Jack's own good, but then uses the same routine on the dead patient's husband because God forbid there be any moral ambiguity with this character. That might lead to us questioning whether he's to blame for every single one of Jack's character flaws. But Jack still goes along with the story because it'll let him be a whiny bitch some more. But then he finds out that the patient was pregnant, which gets him to tell the truth. Why does this turn things around for him? Well, there's no real reason it should. It's here purely so we have no doubt at all that Christian is evil incarnate and Jack has nothing to feel guilty about despite his mother reaming him out for this back in White Rabbit. That's how little faith these writers have that we can get what they're going for. Jack learns the whole situation, and we get just a second of him realizing how much he's screwed the pooch before he snaps into action, but I'll take whatever I can get in that department. While he's running around to no purpose, fortunately Locke has followed him and points out the incredibly obvious signs of a struggle. But Jack's still not done screwing up, so he decides to shout randomly until Locke tells him to shut the hell up. Our hero, ladies and gentlemen. Jack wonders how one man can be dragging around both Charlie and the pregnant Claire, but Locke says why is more important. Personally, I'm still stuck on that first one. And according to David Fury, at this point the writers were operating under the assumption that the others were some kind of supernatural beings, and were even the source of those whispers Saeed heard. They later turn out to be regular humans, but I don't think it's such a leap to say that some more others are helping Ethan here and want to remain hidden for now. Don't say I never gave the show a chance. Jack refuses to believe that there are other people on the island despite all evidence, practically just putting his hands on his ears and going la la la. Locke heads back to the caves and recruits Kate and Boone to help them search for Ethan, but he turns Michael down right in front of Walt, and after Michael had forbidden Walt from helping. At this point, I'm completely lost on where they're trying to go with these two.
It's a good thing you were going in a circle. Not much of a search grid, but we never would have found you otherwise.
This is really not a good episode for him. Locke tells Jack to go back to camp so nothing can happen to their only doctor, but Jack just replies,
"Can we go now?"
"I hate you." And it gets worse as he second guesses the audibly exhausted Locke wanting to take a break.
Would it kill you to give the guy a little space?
It might.
Shut up. Jack says that he's feeling guilty over not believing Claire, so I'll give the writers that one. But then we see for sure that they don't trust our memories at all. Thank you, that finger tape was so unmemorable. Plus the dialogue tells us everything too, so what the hell? They follow the trail, but it splits into two. Jack acts like a whiny bitch as usual until Kate of all people gives him a reality check. So he puts his tail between his legs and splits off with Kate while Locke follows the other trail with Boone. I'm sure there's no ulterior motives there. Boone talks to Locke about the concept of red shirts. You mean like those guys on the beach no one cares about? And even being apart from Locke can't stop Jack from being pissy about everything, so he insists Kate tells him where she picked up the tracking skills. Hey, you had your chance to learn all about her, remember? Still think scoring points for a booty call was more important? And from what we've seen so far, she could just be a fan of The Shining. Walt tells Sawyer that Saeed is back, for what reason I don't know, but Sawyer is distracted from his revenge when Saeed tells him about Danielle and the Whispers. He also tells Saeed that he kept his fire burning. It's a nice scene with a refreshing absence of Jack. Walt plays backgammon with Hurley and gets every role he needs. More evidence of his psychic powers, which will never amount to anything. Locke and Boone talk some more about their jobs, and Locke predicts a sudden rainstorm perfectly. Your guess is as good as mine what the hell this has to do with anything. Jack hears a woman scream, but Kate doesn't. This is never explained. I guess it could be Hillary, but why? They climb up a hill, and what a surprise, it's Jack who falls off. That's when Ethan shows up and says he'll kill either Charlie or Claire if they keep following him. Jack tries to fight him, but completely gets his ass kicked. Hey, suddenly the episode got really fun. Jack and Kate keep following Ethan and, oh my god, can it be? Has Charlie finally shut up? No, of course not. After a hugely milked CPR scene, he's as good as new. Honestly, was anyone surprised by this on their first watch? And the real irony is that if he had died here, I probably wouldn't find him nearly as annoying. But now we have some future developments to look forward to that would ultimately inspire me to make this whole running gag. We're teased for a bit with the idea that Charlie is catatonic, but unfortunately he starts talking again, saying that Claire was the only one the others wanted. Locke and Boone are still out looking.
Are we lost?
No, Boone, we're not lost.
What, is that a trick question? Boone's incompetence at catching a flashlight leads to them finding a steel plate on the ground.
What is that?
That's what we're gonna find out.
My score for all the best Cowboys Have Daddy issues is 7 out of 10. It suffers from the usual problems of a Jack episode, with us being asked to sympathize with such a fundamentally unlikable character as Jack Shephard, but there's enough other stuff going on that your interest is kept up, and it's always a plus seeing Jack get beat to a bloody pulp. That ending is also a real keeper, even if it does immediately result in Locke forgetting all about the kidnapped pregnant woman now that he has a shiny new toy. Not that he doesn't have a lot of company there, as we'll see.